What's up, y'all? This is China, and I got a very, very special guest. We got Bootleg Kev, and the first thing that I love to ask is what makes you indie as fuck?
Indie as fuck.
Indie as fuck.
I don't know. Fuck. I like, I don't know. You know, I fucking...
You're very independent.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, my podcast is independent. My radio show is independent. I have an independent label. I like independent rap music.
Yes.
I like some indie rock, you know?
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm indie.
Okay, so that
I'm a
definitely
strong,
makes you...
independent man that's married to a great wife who makes my life easier. So I guess I'm not independent in that way.
Well, hey, indie is fuck in all forms. So bring me back to the time when your grandmother gave you the Doggy Styles album by accident. Like, when was that defining moment? What song did your mom catch you, like, listening to?
I don't remember the song. I just remember, so back in the day, you know, I got Doggy Style on accident because they used to send these fucking... They used to send like these. It was a company called something House that used to be able to get like an insert out of a magazine and fill it out, and they would send you like 15 albums for a penny or something. But then you were signed up for like it was like a Ponzi scheme. Then you were like signed into this membership that you had to cancel, and if you didn't cancel, they charge you like a bunch of money. But anyway, my grandma ended up getting Doggy Style sent to her house with a bunch of other stuff on accident, and she didn't know.
It has a cartoon. It's like a cartoon on the front. So
yeah, she gave it to me. I was 5, and I was 5 or 6. Yeah, and then I had a Walkman, and at the time I was really only listening to like Boys to Men 2. That album was my shit when I was a little kid. So I was listening to like Down on Bend and Knee and shit, and I got Doggy Style, and that Doggy Style fucking fucked my whole world up, you know?
And then that was kind of like your entrance into hip hop, and then you had, shout out to your friend Ramses. Is that how you say his name?
Ramses Ja.
Yeah, so he was putting you on to all like the Bone Thugs and Harmony and what other stuff?
No, yeah, I was like when I was like a little kid, like it was like Snoop Dogg, it was Bone, it was Tupac. My mom fucked with Cypress Hill, so I was listening to Cypress Hill, and then and then like Wu-Tang, like 36 Chambers, and I remember I bought Mobb Deep the Infamous from a yard sale. It was super scratched up, but so I fucking found Mobb Deep on accident, kind of doing that, and then I would just like, you know, I'd buy all the Source magazines. And so I would always just go through and just buy anything that was like 4 mics or up. So I would always like save money or do yard work around my neighborhood. And then I would try to go to the warehouse, which turned into FYE, and try to find these CDs used. So try to buy them like used and shit. And yeah, but yeah, Snoop Dogg Doggy Style was like, that album definitely changed my life. You know, that was that. And then like Bone Thugs Creeping on a Come Up, I had on a burnt tape. That was fucking, that whole shit was like my shit for real.
That's fire. Okay, so in Phoenix, Arizona, where you're from, how is the hip hop scene out there?
It's cool. You know, there's obviously we haven't like it's not LA, it's not Atlanta, it's shit, damn, it ain't even fucking, you know, Portland, you know what I mean? But it's cracking. Like there's some dope artists out there. Phoenix is like, it's very much like a West Coast city. So we have like some dope artists. There's a kid named Futuristic who's got a lot of success out of Phoenix. I think he's making like Christian rap now. But then there's like guys like Alexis and Merkham's and Cactus Boys and Chris Coke, and there's a kid named Doty, Kyrie Doty, who's got a record that's going crazy called Goddamn, that he actually just had a bunch of label meetings out here. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dope rappers in Phoenix. It's just, we just haven't had like that one guy like super, super pop yet, you know? Like the biggest rapper from Phoenix ever is MC Magic.
And MC Magic is huge. He's huge as fuck.
No, he is. But yeah, that's our guy. Like he's our guy, you know? Like, but he's the biggest, he's the most successful rapper. You don't know who Magic is?
Yeah, I know MC. I actually interviewed him before. Yeah, he's dope.
Yeah, he's like our fucking, he's the guy, you know? Like he's still touring. He's doing like 100 shows a year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Is the guy. Do you think that you would have ever led into like the radio path and everything that you're doing now if it wasn't for that high school program that you ended up going and interning at? That kind of was like your intro steps into all of this?
I probably don't think so. I mean, I had turntables and I wanted to DJ. but like I didn't know like I wanted to do radio per se until I got into that. It's a school called EVIT, and they had a radio broadcasting program, so I would go there instead of taking electives at my home school. And so, yeah, like that kind of just opened up my brain to like a whole other side of. I was always a radio fan, you know, so I would always listen to like the radio nonstop, Power 92.3 at the time. Um, and then I had a friend that was interning at the radio station who was older than Ramses.
Shout out Ramses.
And so I once I got into the radio broadcasting class, I was like, oh, like I could. First of all, this shit is fun. It's all music based, you know. The class was fun. Like we got to learn Pro Tools, and we got to like design our own radio station. We had our own radio show. Like the show I did in high school on that station was it was like a super underground hip hop show. So we were just like editing our own songs and playing like just the shit that we were able to like play, like that we could find on CD. Because back then it was like, how you getting this stuff? You know, it was like we would get it off Napster or message boards. Because back in the day, like before, it was way before Dat Piff. So it was like we were downloading shit off of Napster, BearShare, fucking up computers for sure.
And it's almost like this was just like destined for you, because who gets a call saying, well, I guess you called into a radio show, Carly G.
Carly Hustle.
Oh, Carly Hustle. Okay, so she heard your voice and she was like, you're meant for radio. And that like never happened.
I already was, so let me clear that up. So I already was at the radio station, but I was on the street team. So I was just setting up tents. So I was at an event, and then you do call-ins as a street teamer. So it was like the first time I did a call-in. So I called the station, she was on the air, and usually you would be like, you know, there's like a bunch of imaging, like, yo, the Flavor Unit, check them out, you know, and then, you know, hey, what up, Kevin, I'm out here on so-and-so Avenue, we're giving away bumper stickers, blah, 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 whatever. So I did that for the first time, and then she was like, yo, I'm gonna put you on the radio. And I was like, fucking sick, you know, like, let's go. But yeah, she, Carly's like, definitively, Carly's probably like the first person, and she went on to run Hot 97. She went on to help break.
Is she still doing her thing out here?
She's in New York. Yeah, she was at Apple Music forever. She started a lot of the Apple Music shit. Like she's a legend.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, Carly was like the first person to really, really probably be like, yeah, I'm gonna put you on the radio for real. Like I worked at the station, and there was people there who fucked with me, but like she was the first person like who probably was in like a real position of power to be like, you sound dope. You know, I was on the morning show. I was like their intern for a little bit, so they'd throw me on every once in a while, but it wasn't like, you know, Carly was like, I'm the boss, you're dope. What are you doing this weekend? Type shit. So shout out to Carly Hustle. She's a legend. I owe her forever for that. So shout out to her.
Shout out to her. And the fact that like when you did have your station, you were playing the underground hip hop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your journey kind of reminds me of mine. Like I always started with underground hip hop, which is the reason why I'm here at, you know, in these places right now, because I built so much rapport from all the people that I was able to interview, because it was easy to get interviews. No one was covering it in that type of matter. But, you know, you're playing Dilated People and just putting on in the underground scene. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So like, that's just always kind of been my thing, you know, it's like, I'm just a fan first, you know? So like, when I got into radio, I wanted to do like a version of the show I did in high school on like a big radio station. So I ended up, kind of taking over a show called Friday Night Flavas in Phoenix, which spawned off of a show that started here in LA. But then Phoenix did their own version, and the host of Friday Night Flavas ended up, moving on to another station. So me and Ramses ended up taking over the Friday Night Flavor slot. So we were able to just like clean up underground rap, whatever we wanted to, pretty much anything we wanted to hear on the radio. We played it. But I mean, it was late at night, you know, but, and then I turned that into my own show that was similar once I left Phoenix, called Ready Set Radio.
In Vegas, right?
Yeah, I was in Vegas. I was in Idaho, Tampa. So I did that show all over. And, yeah, we were playing everybody first. I mean, I was cleaning up K-Dot songs, you know, from...
You even have like a freestyle. Yeah, I saw that interview.
Even before that, yeah, like when it was like the Kendrick Lamar EP and early J. Cole, like cleaning up shit off of the warm up, or just we're just like, it was and that was like peak blog era. So like we were like editing our own cleans and shit. We were on late as fuck. Like we were on from like I think midnight to 2 a.m. on Sunday nights. But yeah, the station was cracking in Vegas. I had everybody out there.
Who were some of the artists that you had? I know, like, of course, Kendrick
like back then, like we had Cole, we had Kendrick, we had Mac Miller,
and they were all coming to Vegas during. Okay, sure.
Mac Miller, Freddie Gibbs, a shit ton, Wiz. Damn, like back then there was like XV was dope at the time. Shout out to XV. XV's. I just got asked about like who I thought was like the biggest, like what if I thought XV could have been out of here. All the blog era dudes, like really anybody from that era were my people, like I had Asher Roth up there.
Okay. Like literally everybody.
Even like, Vic Mensa used to be in a group called Kids These Days. So we were playing Kids These Days like crazy, and even Chance, before Chance put out Acid Rap, he had the 10-Day Project. I was playing shit off of that, and like that was a little bit later, obviously. But like I was in Vegas from 2010 to like late 2012, and yeah, we had some shit. Like it was dope. It was fun, man. So we had a lot of and I was recording everything off of a flip cam. There's that little camera with the little USB thing that pop out. And I would just have my homie in the studio recording that shit,
And one thing that I do love about you is like you kind of realize the importance of putting your interviews on YouTube before a lot of people and like jumping on that wave before a lot of people even realize
I mean, it was really
like that could do.
Honestly, it was a guy named Peter Parker who was in Minneapolis, and he was doing the YouTube thing first.
Was YouTube monetized at that time?
I don't even know. I don't know. I wasn't making no YouTube money, but so Peter Parker, I remember watching him on YouTube doing shit at a radio station, and then Peter Rosenberg was doing stuff on the flip cam. So I went and bought this flip cam. It was like $100, and then like everything I was doing, I was putting on YouTube. And then even before that, like when I would have phoners, people would call it, because I used to do radio in Boise, Idaho, and people would call into my show. So
okay.
No one's coming to Idaho. Actually, so I have a Nipsey Hussle freestyle from 2009 on YouTube from Boise in studio.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I would put the visual of like whatever the call was up on YouTube with like pictures of the artist or whatever.
Sick.
And then I would always send them out to all the blogs like Two Dope Boys or Not Right or all the like that blog era shit. I would always make sure to send out all of my interviews to these blogs because they used to like cover a lot of the artists I would support,
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of like that shit, like I was definitely like one of the first 2 or 3 people to like really embrace YouTube in the radio space for sure.
I love the hip hop blog era.
I mean, it's my favorite era ever. So, it was legendary, and unfortunately, and the good thing about the blog era is all the people who were running the big blogs, they were the curators, but they were dope.
Yeah.
Like they weren't like weirdos. So like they were like they only supported the shit they fucked with, and they all fucked with dope shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was like, yeah, like the blog era was dope because those guys like could change your career, but they also had great taste. So it wasn't like they were like supporting a lot of fuck shit. Like they were all supporting the good shit, So I would like Two Dope Boys, my favorite site ever. Shout out to Mech and Shake. Those guys are fucking legends. And SK from Now Right and Rap Radar was cool. But yeah, the blog era was sick for sure. And then it was just like all these free mixtapes were dropping. There was Z share files going crazy. And yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that was a good time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of classic albums that were mixtapes came out, like all the J. Cole Friday Night Lights and all that shit was free.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking link you downloaded, Like it was crazy. Big Crit's whole first 4 albums were fucking for free.
Oh shit! I had no idea about
Yellow
that.
Wolf, fucking all these guys, like they're all their shit. Like it was just like you just downloaded it and dumped it on your iPod.
Right.
Straight up, like there was no fucking streaming. It was like I'm gonna download the shit.
It's a good time.
I'm gonna zip file it, extract it, and throw it on the iPod.
So, after that, you jumped into, you were already in a radio, but like officially jumping into like radio, let's just jump all the way forward, your show with DJ Head. Talk about just like the shift in the radio industry right now, because obviously you went independent and you're doing successful at that. But
yeah, I mean, look, I've like wherever I've worked, I've done like a real radio show during the day where I played like whatever was on the playlist. So I've been like a full-time radio personality since 2009. Before that, I was interning or I was doing weekends or doing part-time shit. But yeah, I mean, I came to LA. It was originally me, Damage, and Dre Sinatra doing nights. They made the switch. It became me and Head. And, me and Head had some legendary moments. I ended up leaving Real 92.3 during the pandemic. They fired iHeart fired 1,000 people in one day.
Yeah.
So I already was kind of like not fucking with the current business model. So I was like already kind of considering like resigning and like launching a syndicated show. So they actually kind of just made the decision for me, And I already had my podcast. I started my podcast June of 2020. So I got let go in December 2020. And then I launched my syndicated show March of 2021. And then by the August of 2021, they had to put me back on the air.
And they picked you up, yeah. So everything just really worked out in your favor before.
Yeah, so now we're on like
how many stations?
91, something like that.
That's
stations every
dope.
day.
Can we talk about, before we get too ahead, let's go back to that Kevin Gates interview, one of my favorite ones with you and DJ Head. Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yes, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was so like I'm a huge Kevin Gates fan.
Yeah.
So, I fucking lived in Florida. I DJ'd clubs in Florida. Gates is that fucking guy, So I had met Kevin Gates before too, and he was he's a great guy, he's an intense dude though. So yeah, he got to the station. It was late at night. I remember my boy Dwight brought him up from Atlantic, and yeah, I mean, the whole vibe was just interesting. But so when he sat down, it just didn't feel like he wanted to be there. You know? So he was tripping for sure. But what's funny is
content.
After that, when the cameras were off, he was like, we were shooting the shit with him, and then he was like playing us all his unreleased shit. And he was like, damn, I wish we started the interview now, because now I fuck with y'all.
That is so funny.
And, I don't know, man. I think, unfortunately, this is the way I'll say it. People, if you're Kevin Gates, you just got out of jail. He was in prison for a while. I just think artists need to be a lot more aware of hey, I'm not feeling this. I'm just not going to go.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you're just not in a good space, and you're just you had a rough day, or you're just I don't feel like being asked questions on camera, just don't come. But I get it. It's at the end of the day, it's got to be annoying. I think about this all the time. When artists do these press runs, it's got to be fucking annoying, because you're getting asked mostly the same shit.
Same time, yep.
And, not everybody are they're not really not everybody's people persons, if you will, So yeah, the Kevin Gates thing was cool though. It was a moment, and I love Kevin Gates. We went on to have some great interviews, just him and I. And he's one of my favorite artists, and I think his journey's dope. So I'm glad we had that little viral moment. It was funny though. It was definitely.
It's hilarious. That's one of my favorite interviews from you guys.
For sure. And then I was just like, okay, let me just figure out how to get this thing over the finish line.
And you guys play it so cool.
You guys that was my thing. Was
cool.
We got to get this over the finish line. Okay, well, that was awkward. Well, that's going to be viral tomorrow.
What about some other interviews? I mean, I know about I forgot his name, the guy that walked out.
Oh, ESTG?
Yeah, that was funny.
I just found out he had somebody who died in his family that day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So again, just don't come.
Yeah.
So, I just found that out. He talked about it on the Breakfast Club. They asked him about it. So, I didn't take that. I don't take any of this shit personal, to be honest. So, yeah, I was like, oh, well, we're going viral today. Yeah, I mean, I've had I've had a few interviews, that I've obviously evolved a lot over the years. When I first got to LA, I thought to myself, I had to be the Breakfast Club of the West Coast. So I was trying to be a little more clickbaity with my shit. So yeah, I remember we interviewed Little Kim the week after Kevin Gates, and that shit went
What happened with the Little Kim one? I didn't see that one.
Because I just asked her about the Nicki shit, and she was not fucking with it at all. She was, hey, them little Kim fans, they do not fuck with me at all. She has her own beehive.
Bigger than the Barbs?
Nah, they're just that, all that whole shit. Man, shout out to the Barbs, though. Shout out to Nikki. She the dope. I want no smoke with the Barbs.
No smoke.
Nikki's the greatest of all time, man. But no, Little Kim's fan base, holy shit, they fucking came at me for like forever. I don't even, Jesus. I thought the Coyotes are calling. They're supposed to be here today.
Oh, wait. Answer it.
Dude, you're supposed to be at LRG today. I came for you. Pause. Look at this fucking guy.
Where you at?
Never fucking confirmed. I never confirmed that day.
The 13th, though.
Hey, the 13th you're coming. I had to fill in for the podcast for you.
Oh, damn, bro. Appreciate it, bro. I know you were gonna come handy.
You know about the handies.
Hold on, let me see.
Let me call you, dude. I'm getting interviewed right now. You look like you're at the fucking barbershop. Bye.
That's funny. Shout out to the Coyotes. Love them.
Guys.
They'll be here next week.
It's my family. Love them.
That's dope. I know, just being an interviewer, I mean, what are some of like the things that you, I guess, just go through? I mean, sometimes I don't feel like talking to people too.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think
sometimes it gets repetitive a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like there's like interviews you're excited about, there's interviews you're not excited about. So it's like, you know, how do you figure out like how to make the ones you're not as excited about interesting? You know, I think like the other thing is like I always am like, I hate when someone's on like a super press run, but I mean, obviously when people go on press runs, they go to everywhere, but it's like, okay, well, if I'm like if I know you just did like 8 interviews and then like you're coming to me,
exactly.
like, I already know you're fucking cooked. So it's like, you know, I'm like, I just had this talk with somebody about an artist that's coming on my show next week. And I was like, hey, I know you're going to go do this, this, and this, but come here first.
Right.
Because I don't want to be
bring that energy first.
I don't want to be the 5th guy. Like, which, yeah, pause. But yes. But yeah, no. So, you know, it's just a matter of like, I kind of always approach interviews as like shooting the shit. It's, you know, because there's a lot of people I interview that I'm not necessarily like super fans of, but like we'll have entertaining conversations, you know? So, you know how to, I've had a bunch of interviews with artists who aren't known to be the most talkative, but I always.
But you bring it out of them. I think that's your personality.
Yeah, so
you make it like so much conversational
like me and
based.
Key Glock's interview, like Key Glock's not the greatest, you know, guy on camera. He's kind of an introvert. But we had a fucking fun talk, and people love that interview forever. And
same with the NBA Youngboy.
Oh yeah, the NBA Youngboy's a perfect
classic.
example. Even Rilo Rodriguez. You know, like Rilo Rodriguez doesn't have a lot of interviews, and when him and I sat, we talked about all kinds of random ass shit. Like, and he was like entertained, and he had fun, and he thanked me. He's like, "Thank you for that. Like, that was fun." But like a lot of these guys, you know, like I feel like a lot of people, like NBA Youngboy. All the interviews I ever seen with NBA Youngboy, it felt like people were like treating him like he was a fucking alien.
Yeah.
Like he was like a, I don't know. And I was like, I just want to just shoot the shit with this fool and like see what happens. Like, I'm not trying to be like,
yeah,
like he's a kid, you know, he's got 12 fucking kids.
He pulled up with a horse. Like that was bizarre. And then for him to even like reach out and be like, do you love what you do?
Very
like,
random.
So
very random. I think he saw a Glorilla interview I did. Because it was around the time I had a Glorilla interview that went viral, and he just DM'd me. I was like, "Hey, buddy, do you enjoy what you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's get an interview in."
So wild.
And then I gave him my number, and out of nowhere, I got the FaceTime, and it was like, "Can you come to Utah tomorrow?"
What the hell?
And I was like, it was like 8:00.
Did you think it was a joke? Like,
no.
And you were just like, okay, this is really happening.
Yeah. So then me and my producer, we literally had to figure out how to get to Utah. It was like 8:30 at night. And we flew out of LAX at like 6 a.m, landed. Then I had to get vetted by his PO.
Oh, shoot.
And I have charges in the past. So they're like, yo, what is this lying? Like, you lied to a police officer? And I'm like, yeah, I lied to the cop.
Yeah.
They're like, about what? I was like, my name. So they had to ask me about my charges that I've had in the past. which is nothing crazy, but just I've been to jail a couple of times. But yeah, so I was like, yeah. What were the circumstances where you lied to a cop? I had to tell them, and they were like, all right, cool. Yeah, you're fine.
Cleared.
And then my cameraman had to have the same thing.
Shit.
So it was cool. Yeah, we pulled that shit together like literally super fucking out of nowhere.
And
like,
that's one of his best interviews for sure.
yeah, I mean, everybody says
so
it's like
personal.
his best interview because it's like all his other interviews are like he's kind of uncomfortable. I feel like about his other shit, So and the cool thing is we did a vlog where we were walking around his property riding horses and shit. And then we also sat on his couch for like an hour and did an interview
with his kid and everything, just playing around. Yeah, that was super sick.
So yeah, he's cool, man. I hope he figures out his legal situation. I think he's gonna be getting out. I think he's only doing like 2 years, so he'll probably be out next year sometime.
Okay.
But yeah, great guy. I think he, obviously gets a bad rap. I think he's dealing with a lot of shit, in his life. He's a father of a lot of kids and dealing with all the other shit, the legal shit, I mean, he literally couldn't leave his house, So
right.
When you're on house arrest like that, it's like, that's got to be crazy, I can't imagine dealing with that. I mean, nice house.
And horses.
Snow.
Beautiful property.
But yeah, man, good guy, man. Shout out to him.
Shout out to him. Okay, a couple more questions that I have for you. What are some star qualities that you see within artists that you have interviewed that actually ended up turning out big or, actually kind of dropping the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always look at like there's artists who just like get it, and I think like La Russell's like one of those guys, who's just like no matter what happens, like La Russell's gonna crack.
Oh yeah,
and he's gonna crack in his own way, and he's cracking right now. But like, if I have a conversation with an artist and I'm like, okay, like 310 Baby's another example of somebody who's just like, I met him when he was fucking a child, and he still is a child. He's 18. Is he 19 now? Fuck, I don't know. But just like that kid gets it. Like he's got a real like intentional approach to music. He's very aware of all the moves that they do. And like even with Kendrick was like that back in the day, I mean, Kendrick's like a generational talent. He's always been that. It's just a matter of time, But yeah, I think it's just like when I look at what makes somebody, I'll tell you what I don't look at. Because I think the old school way of like, what's a star quality? Like, I don't think people care about, if you got a 6-pack anymore. I just had this talk with somebody and they're like, yeah, that kid's got to lose weight about an artist. And I was like, why? Like Teddy Swims is a chubby little tattooed dude with a fucking goatee. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Dave Blunt's.
Like, Dave Blunt's is very, very niche. But like Post Malone came into the game as like a chubby white dude with fucking cornrows. Like
killed it.
The Weeknd is just a normal dude. He's not like fucking a sex symbol. I mean, bitches like the Weeknd, But I'm saying like the Weeknd's just a normal dude.
Yeah.
Like the days of like, obviously it probably doesn't hurt, but you don't see Tyler the Creator running around with fucking his shirt off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just that whole like approach to music and like being too overly contrived and making people too much of a package. I think it turns fans off nowadays because like, with the social media, artists are like, everything's so transparent. So if they know you're not like organic or you're not being yourself, or they're not gonna fuck with you.
Yeah, real shit.
The more like normal you are and the more relatable you are, the more the art or the fans feel like you're just being yourself, it's the better. It's just better. The more like overly thought out and overly produced and like, a lot of labels and management will try to like really package an artist like they're a fucking toy. That shit doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, real shit.
It's just like, it's about the music. Your brand is important though. Like, let's not get it fucked up. Like, you have to have a brand and but you got to be intentional with your brand, and it can't deviate too far from who you really are.
Because you got to keep it up.
Exactly. So that's what I would say for sure. Just like when I see an artist who's like super intentional and very, very aware of what I just said, I'm like, oh, it's lit.
Then what do you see in Alexis? Because I know that's your artist. I actually need to get him down to the podcast.
Yeah, for
actually,
sure. Yeah, no, he's been grinding, man. We just did like 4 records with Russell last night. He was in with Lefty Gunplay the night before. Yeah, no, he's just a raw talent, singer, songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
He's like my fucking kid at this point. I love him, but when I first met him, it was just like talent was just the first thing that jumped out at me, and we've been grinding, doing the independent thing. He's got some success at radio right now. We've had some big records with like T-Pain and Wiz and
okay, Alexis.
And yeah, so he's a good kid, and he's just alien like talented. He could fucking do an album in a night, with his eyes closed. Like even like LaRussell was tripping yesterday. He was like, "Damn, not everybody's as quick as me."
Right.
By the way, no one's as quick as LaRussell. This guy one takes everything. Like he writes his shit out and then goes and delivers it, and that's it. There's no like, yo, punch me in, run that back. This guy does the whole shit one time, straight through. Sounds perfect.
Pure talent. Do you see yourself managing any other artists?
I hope not.
Okay, so Alexis is just your main project.
Nah. Maybe one day.
Okay.
But right now I'm chilling. I got shit.
Nightclub, you got a restaurant.
I got 2 restaurants, a club. I got too much shit going on. Maybe. I have before, but like maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bootleg Kev, for coming on the Indie as Fuck podcast and blessing us with our knowledge. I'm actually a huge fan of yours. I've been watching your journey. And hopefully I'll have a journey like yours someday.
Of course. Indie as fuck.
Indie as Fuck.
Boom.